And now, the SleepHawk Worldwide Podcast. Here are your hosts, Brandon Staton and Tyler Hansbrough.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the SleepHawk Worldwide Podcast. This is Sleep Dog stateside, contiguous stateside with the Hall of Famer, Big Hope.
What's up, everybody? Sleep is back. I'm excited about getting back into the pod in the studio with him, fresh off a cruise. He's rejuvenated. I'm excited about this podcast. Let's go, Sleep.
Guys, one of the best parts about taking a week off is there's a lot of backlog here. So we got all kinds of things to get into. Man, we're going to tease the cruise because you do not want to miss some of the stories I'm coming back with. Believe it or not, I'm not still on the cruise, although that Sleep Dog original photo background of the sunset. I think it's sunset. It might be sunrise. Hell, I don't know. The sun never set in that place. So we're going to get into that. We're going to get into some of the NBA offseason that's coming up and as well as the conference finals, which we'll probably start with. Those are set. A lot of interesting storylines in the NBA as a whole. Coaching changes. Our boy Ja Morant. We're going to discuss what in the hell is wrong with that guy. Portal. Demarco Dunn, latest in a string of Tar Heels outbound. So we'll talk about, get Big Hawk's thoughts on that. UNC might leave the ACC. So we'll ponder what that might mean. Canes are in the conference finals. NBA's got all kinds of offseason moves. We're going to talk about whether my boy JK, Jonathan Kuminga, is going to demand a trade at friggin' 20 years old and set precedent that has never been set before, which is what precedent means. So anyway, this is a ton of stuff. And I can't wait to get into it. But the first thing we're going to do is talk to Big Hawk about his newly minted status as a Hall of Famer, dude. Congratulations, first of all. How do you find out about some shit like that? Because I think the common folk, we got no idea. Ain't good at anything in anywhere near the level of being acknowledged for it, much less at a level like you just did. So tell us how you found out, how you feel, and what that kind of means to you, man.
It's just an old-fashioned phone call, and it happened about a couple weeks ago. Someone from the Basketball Hall of Fame called me and said, hey, congratulations, we're giving you an induction into the Hall of Fame. And, I'm super excited about that. And I know my name, like it is a little weird because when you play basketball, you don't really play for to get into the Hall of Fame, really. You just go out there and you try to compete and play and you work at something. But this is a big deal for me, and I'm very honored to be going into the Hall of Fame. The reason I say that is because I'm from a small town, Poplar Bluff, Missouri, and in a way, it represents a lot of people in my community who have been there for me or helped me throughout my career. And also, I've had a lot of good coaches, a lot of great teammates that have been a big part of this. You don't really get individual awards like this if you didn't have a lot of team success. So I've been lucky. I played for the greatest basketball program, UNC, that you could ever play for. And I had, in my opinion, the greatest coach to ever coach in Coach Williams. So I'm very honored, and I'm glad to be going in there. And hopefully this can be a little bit of a reflection of all my teammates and coaches that I've had along the way.
Well, I'll give a little color for the listener out there. So you just said that it's been 2 weeks since you found out. And, I consider myself fortunate to be in a tight circle with you, man. And this is the first I'd heard of it. First any of us had heard of it. And I think it's something that you deserve immensely. And one of the coolest things that I've had the chance to do as we become friends is the most interesting thing to me when you reflect on anything basketball related. And it's something that I literally treasure as having learned from you is how you talk about people as good teammates. And it really just, I think there's probably all kinds of people. One of the things I've learned as I've gotten older is perception of players. I watch the NBA or football or college basketball or whatever, and it's a hard thing to do, even though we always joke around on this podcast. Really hard thing to do to commentate from my seat on college basketball because these guys are kids, and I'm starting to get a little older and blah blah blah. And then on the professional side, you determine who these people are based on what you see on the court and some of the stories that you've shared about certain players being good guys and all that sort of stuff where their persona may be different on television, right? It's so interesting to me to understand that. And I think for probably a lot of people, at least as I've come to know you, look at you in a way that is decidedly different, I think, than you probably are as a person. And that's probably my favorite part about getting to do this is I get a little bit of both of it. But man, I'm happy for you, and I think it's like super well deserved. What you've done for Carolina, what you've done for, you know, your home state, your hometown, man, it can't be understated. And there's a lot of people who some of the best memories of their lives, man, watching you play basketball, and I'm among them. So congratulations, man. You deserve it.
I appreciate that, Sleep, and it means a lot. And as somebody who grew up watching college basketball, you know, with my dad and my family, we watched all the rivalries. We were, you know, small town, but we had a junior college team we used to go watch all the time. And then we'd go home and watch some of these big time colleges, you know, the UNC, Duke. We'd watch Illinois, Mizzou. We'd watch Mizzou versus Kansas because we grew up in Missouri. And to be in the Hall of Fame is a big deal. And so it's really cool because I get to reflect when I was a young kid, just wanting to play at a big time university, never thinking I would play at UNC, and then going to the Hall of Fame. So I appreciate that. And I'm, you know, I'm very honored to be recognized with a lot of other great Hall of Famers.
I just got off a Hall of Fame trip, dude. I'm going to tell you about, I got some Hall of Fame stories to tell myself. I don't even know where to begin.
Can I ask you a few questions?
Yeah. Oh my God. Please ask questions because I got answers. I can't remember who used to say that shit, but I got them.
So a cruise to me, first of all, I'll just preface this, and we talked about this. I will never go on a cruise. I get seasick to the fullest, and I would never put myself into that situation. Did you get seasick?
I did not get seasick.
Thank you, God.
There was a time when probably, you know, so you set sail. So we go to Seattle. And then we go up like if you look on a map, okay, if you're an East Coaster like me, you think of Alaska as like, pretty close. You're Seattle, you basically, do Seattle, like a flight from Seattle to Anchorage, I think is almost 6 hours, okay?
Crazy.
And it's not even 6 hours to get from Raleigh to Seattle. And all you do is like, there's actually a panhandle, a very long string of like barrier sort of islands, some south of Canada that run up. Just look at it on a map, and I promise you'll be like, holy shit, I didn't realize. You think Alaska's big. You don't realize it until you look at it on a map. And so heading out, dude, it's like pretty smooth sailing, like classic Pacific Northwest. I've never been there, but all you hear about is the weather sucks. And the weather sucked, man. It was cold. It was like misting rain and like this, that, and the other. But the water was super calm. And so, like, all the way out, all the way back, much of which I will get into here shortly. But when you're coming back, you're going through this very wide channel, which is like mainland versus these barrier islands. And it's such a wide, it's like called a strait, which I guess is basically like, hey, this is sort of ocean, but not quite. Or maybe it is ocean. I don't know what it qualifies as. Dude, but in those sort of geographical regions, like the water is just, the wind is howling and the water's choppy. Dude, the seas were like 20 feet, okay? This boat has 16 decks on it. This thing is the size of Massachusetts and then some. And I felt like, I kid you not, I felt like I was on a canoe. You're just like, I mean, you can't walk in a straight line in this place. And, dude, you realize that it freaks you out because you realize how big this damn boat is. And you're like, dude, if this sucker gets teeters a little too far, she ain't coming back. And neither are we, because I don't care how many lifeboats you got on this sumbitch. There ain't nothing around but water. I don't want to be in a 12-foot boat in the middle of the Pacific Ocean. And my wife, Mary, dude, in the middle of the night, I guess, sort of middle of the night, late, they made this call over the intercom. They didn't do that a whole lot. And she was freaking out. It was somebody, I guess, fell or something like that, which is not uncommon. Maybe they were barfing their brains out. I have no idea. But, you know, she thought we were going to have to evacuate, go get on the lifeboats. And I thought that was kind of funny because after you sort of realize, and of course the staff, they're like, dude, this is just normal. This every time you come through here, this is what happens. But for a first timer, yeah, dude, it was dicey. They literally had barf bags strapped to the rails on the steps. So you could like take one, like a tissue.
So people were getting sick.
I never saw anyone get sick. And dude, I don't know how. So everybody that I encountered had been on probably their 30th cruise. I mean, these people are in it deep. Like cruise culture is an interesting phenomenon.
So the other question, I'm a big dude. How were the showers? Were they spacey? Would I have to duck?
Mm-mm. It wasn't a height thing. Like, it was just you're gonna get a little phone booth down. Now we didn't upgrade the room
showers.
either.
That's a scary one. Yeah.
We didn't upgrade the room. So because I was like, why the hell would we? Is to have a balcony on it? Like I don't, So we had this little interior sort of thing. And I also, truthfully, I was like, well, upgrade the room. We'll just do it when we get there. We'll hold them hostage on the price because it'd be opportunity cost, man. Like they'll have a vacant room. They'll give it to me for next to nothing, because ship's leaving the port. Shit, dude, the thing was sold the hell out. They were like, no, we don't have anything. I was like, you don't have anything? Nothing. So then we got stuck in a shoebox little room. But it was great because you didn't I have so many complaints about the cruise. I could go on a rant for an hour and a half about how shitty the cruise was, and I'll stand by it. If you're thinking about a Norwegian cruise to Alaska, don't do it. Okay. Like go to Alaska some other means. Maybe get yourself a rowboat for all I care. Don't get on that damn boat. A cruise sucked. And I'll give you as many examples as you want as to why, but you have to separate that because Alaska, incredible place, man. Never seen anything like it. The scenery, you're coming down the cruise, the fact that you're taking a, what do you call it? Nautical vessel, right, is cool because you're on a boat and like you're on the water. You see whales, you see all the shit, you see mountains and this, that, and the other. The cruise ship sucked, but being on a ship was not the bad part.
That covers the basis for me. Sleep.
You ever been to Myrtle Beach?
No.
Wow. Okay. Well, I didn't see that coming. Damn. You ever been to Walmart?
Many Walmarts.
Floating Walmart. That's what the place is.
Wow.
There are literally, dude. I'm gonna stay PC on this on a number of reasons.
Rate the food 1 to 10.
2.
Wow.
Yeah, not good.
Coffee.
Buffet. Coffee 0. I mean, there's a Starbucks there. They have Starbucks on board, which they charge extra for. Sleep Dog was first in line every morning. I mean, you could not. The coffee was like dirt water. It might have been the dishwater. They have this buffet, dude, and like everybody there is in like those little carts that people ride around in Walmart. A little basket on the front, little older people. It's supposed to be for people, I guess, with like maybe disability or maybe they're overweight or whatever, dude. Bro, everybody was stunting in those things, and they would take them in the buffet. Okay, dude, try going to. There's 4,500 people in this boat with one buffet. It's about the size of a Golden Corral. I don't know if you've ever been there, but
yes.
Yeah, it's a lot like a Golden Corral out there. Food at Golden Corral, exponentially better. And, it's trough time, dude. Like, your common times to eat, you can forget it, dude. And nobody cares. It is survival of the fittest, man. You in line, nobody gives a shit. Not if you're standing between them and the bacon or the cookies or whatever the hell it was. Like, it's just every man for himself in that buffet line, dude. It was, like a psychologist's dream. I just found myself pondering, like, how do people, and did people love it? They had so much fun. Dude, casino, all right? They got a casino on this boat. So I'm like, all right, I go play a little card games, blackjack, roulette table, craps table. Of course, they had slot machines. Blackjack. So I don't gamble a ton. Like, I'm not one of those guys, like, I have to ask the dealer every now and then, like, what the hell am I supposed to do? Not going to pretend to be some blackjack savant, but I go in there and I get blackjack, and it's like I don't know, $15, I think a $15 table. And so I get blackjack, and dude pays me $18. And I'm like, is this right? He said, yeah, it pays $6.5. And I was like, you got to be kidding me, dude. Even I know that's just rip off, right? So you got these people held hostage in here, and you're paying $6.5 on blackjack. You can't win anything. And so people playing the slots, I'm just like, dude, I can only imagine odds on those things. It's all rigged. Yeah, it was a disaster. And the worst part of all for me is I'm like, hey, at least I can go into my room, my little shoebox, and watch the game. Rugby is on TV. They have 12 channels. Okay, they literally have 24 channels on TV. TV is the size of my computer screen. They have 24 channels on this TV. 13 of those channels or have some shit to do with this cruise. Okay, like safety video just on loop. Some shit about where you are in the ocean, which is probably the second most interesting channel, to be quite honest with you. Then they have like 11 or 12 other like regular channels. Okay, 2 of which were sports channels. So I'm like, all right, but the whole cruise, those 2 channels are showing the exact same thing. Whatever's on one channel is on the other channel. One time I saw a Celtics game on there. It was at like 3 a.m. It's a repeat of the damn game from the day before. They're showing soccer and rugby over and over and over again. They have movie channels, one of which does, so you have like 9 channels of TV. Then they sell you this fucking internet package. Okay. You guys got me going off on this thing. Sell me an internet package. So hey, at least I can stream it, because I bought the damn platinum cruise, crystal cruise, or whatever the hell it's called, internet package. So at least I can watch YouTube. I stream the game. Nah, internet, forget it. I mean, you pay $250 for internet. Doesn't work at all. Like streaming, forget it. You can barely check your email. So cruise, miserable. Never do it again.
It's
never,
like the internet in China.
Oh my God. It was, yeah, bro, it was, duty free store. Like you could buy like Jack Daniels. It was like, Guess merchandise, Polo cologne and shit. I was like, where am I? I'm trapped. Then you go to port, and you get off the port, and dude, you're like a fish in a barrel, dude. They're selling all kinds of trinkets. I mean, look at me. Guess where this shit came from? Right off the dock somewhere. I mean, it hit me for $45 on this shirt. This damn hat was probably $40. I got no idea. Like a dipshit. There was one place that had the audacity to make you wear a collared shirt. And this one has a collar, and this is why I got to wear this thing to dinner like every night. Because if you went to they had these little restaurants. If you went to those, you had to wear a collared shirt, which is laughable. Like, why would you wear a collared shirt in this place? Anyway, dude, I don't know if you guys listening were out there following our stories on IG, but it was something else. I mean, the whole reason I was there is my mom was retiring. My parents are cruisers, man. They're going on like 4 or 5 more. They love them. I told her I'd never get on another one.
Your dad likes the cruises?
My mom likes them more, I think. My dad, dude, he's like, look, man, they're at that age where it's like, the food ain't got to be good. It's just got to be available, and it's always available. And yeah, man, it's like, I don't know, man, everything's already planned out for you. You can kind of, I heard good things about cruise. This is Norwegian Cruise. I'll call it right here, man. Norwegian Cruise Line. You ain't never seen a sleep dog on the deck again. Period. But I heard a lot of people say great things about it. And then I heard a lot of people on that boat that were, unhappy. But
so you got off the cruise, you went on land. Did you want to get back on the boat? Was there ever a thought being like, hey, let's just take all our stuff. We'll meet you somewhere at the next destination. We'll fly to the other one.
Well, everything's landlocked. And you're docking in these little podunk places, dude. And like they got these little seaplanes. And buddy, I don't know if you saw me on that gondola, but I thought that was the last trip I was ever going to take. And there ain't no chance I was getting on a seaplane. So and some dude, some native out here that probably flown this thing 4 or 5 times a year. I
took a gondola in Hong Kong. If anybody's listening and's been to Hong Kong and they've been about and they've explored the city, they know about that gondola, because you take one, it literally is about 25, 30-minute ride.
Oh my God. And
you're just like up through the mountain. I actually really enjoyed it, but if that thing were to stop and you got stuck, dude, there's no escaping this one.
We were dangling,
or something went wrong. You're just dangling. It's like you're dangling on some dental floss about 25,000 feet. Yeah. Good night.
I was terrible. I never really, I didn't know I was afraid of heights. I got up there and I literally had to hold on to the rail, which does absolutely nothing, by the way. You just need something to hold on to. The only other option was getting the fetal position in the floor. I just closed my eyes and I was like, all right, I feel a little better because I'm not like, dude, you are way above the trees and you're rolling up the side of a mountain and it's just a cliff and there's ocean. And you're like, this is absolute death if this, thing pops or something. You can only imagine there's like 900 people live on this island. And like, I want to know which one went to school to be an engineer and built this shit. Okay. I want to talk to him before I get on this thing. And so like you're sitting here and this thing is just dangling. And and then I don't know, Mary had a blast on it. That part was real dicey, But yeah, that's the only way you could get from island to island is a lot of that stuff. Juneau, Alaska. Okay. The biggest city, I think they said by population in Alaska, not accessible by anything except boat or plane. The roads connect to nothing outside of Juneau. Everything is inside there. So,
so where is Juneau located? Is it?
It's
central?
like southeast. Like
okay.
Anchorage is basically central Alaska, and that's where like you can go a little north, I think, into like Denali and all that sort of stuff, where it's like rugged ass. Like I could only imagine, it being more rugged than what we saw. We hiked. So what we did is we get off this boat every day, and we just walk as far as we can go because we were sick of being on this boat. I'm like maximizing every second. I want to be exhausted when I get back on this boat, so I'm immune to the fact that it sucks. And we walked. I counted. I think this morning. I think we hike/walk 68 miles over the week. So came back and I weighed 0.4 pounds more than when I left after walking 68 pounds. So I'm talking shit about the buffet, but I mean.
Hey, you got to eat.
I wasn't going.
You got to eat. It doesn't matter the quality. You got to eat to live. Hey, listen, how many cities in Alaska did you go to?
I think we hit 5. We started in Sitka, which was cool, little town. We had Ketchikan, which is the salmon capital of the world. We had Juneau. We had somebody's at my doorbell ringing it. We had Ketchikan, Sitka. Oh, we stopped in Victoria in Canada, which was cool.
I've been to British Columbia, that area. It's amazing. It's a beautiful.
Dude,
place.
we stopped back. We came back to Seattle. We went to one other place. I can't remember where it was, but we went to Seattle. That's where we departed and came back. We stayed a couple extra days and drove up to Vancouver. Vancouver is incredible. I mean,
we had training camp when I was with the Raptors in Vancouver. Guys, it's one of the best cities I've ever been to.
Unbelievable place.
Beautiful, beautiful city. Amazing weather. Great people.
Big trees.
Oh, yeah. Amazing
I was
city.
cruising along with the wife. We're on like this nature trail, just looking at this big-ass bridge. The Lionsgate Bridge goes across some sort of big body of water. Thing's massive. Then, we just pop up on a beach. And I'm like, oh, look, man. It's like, because it's like 75 degrees out there. And everybody's like, dude, this is summer. Like, we get 5 of these days a year, and you're here. And I was looking around, like everybody's having a good time. I was like, wait a second. Turns out it's a topless beach. So I skinned my knee because, of course, old Sleep Dog had to shut his eyes. And I'm
sure you did.
I looked the other way. It was like, the first time I'd ever been to one, ever seen one. Not gonna lie, not that excited to go see another one because it, ain't all it's cracked up to be. I'll just leave it there. So, all in all, man, the trip was cool as shit. But it was all like it's impossible to understate that. Like Alaska was awesome. Like the state of Alaska, super cool. No Joe Biden fans there, 0. Very interesting sort of political sort of voice up there.
Hey, what time zone are they on?
They are Pacific, but you can get an hour behind that. So when we went all the way out there, they were Pacific -1, whatever that is, GMT or something like that. So at one point we were 4 hours behind.
4 hours behind. So I mean, the elections are pretty much called right before the.
I think everybody's look. I can go ahead and what's the next election? 2024. I can go ahead and call that one for whoever's running. I have the red lead pipe lock. Just spoiler alert. That one's coming back red.
I knew somebody that was voting in Hawaii, and before he went to make his vote, they had already called the election, and he was just like, "I've never felt like." Every vote matters, but he's like, man, it's the first time where I feel like I'm just voting for nothing.
I know, man. What the hell? Saw whales, saw bald eagles, did a whale watching thing. Like that was cool.
Tell me about the whales. And the other thing I have is you said that the bottom of the boat is like glass, so you can see all these whales.
Well, that's what they told me before I got on. Turns out that's complete bullshit.
No, okay.
Yeah, 100%
Yep,
bullshit. Massage, couples massage on there, 75 minutes. $600.
Yokozuna comes out the back, just all rolled up.
Well,
and you can't see shit. All right,
$5.99. Let me tell you, old Sleep Dog didn't stay to see who was coming out for the back cracking because I was like, you guys are fucking nuts here. $600 for a 75-minute massage, man. I'll just rub my temples. The whale thing was cool. Like, only saw a few in the wild. We did a whale watching thing, which was cool because it's like, I mean, I guess they just know where the whale is, and you just take this boat out, and everybody just gawks at it. The tour before ours and then the tour after ours, the whale actually like breached out of the water, and everybody got all these great pictures. And and we didn't see any of that. He just kind of came up and breathed. So anyway, all in all, go to Alaska, just fly there is what I'm getting at.
It's a long flight too. I think it's about 12 hours. I've done that.
If you want to go to Juneau, it's add 3 on to Seattle. So yeah, about 9. If you want to go out to Anchorage, yeah, it's a 12-hour flight.
Yeah.
Because when I was there.
I've made 2 flights to China, and I've made many flights to China, but when I was with the Pacers, we went to China for preseason, and we stopped in Alaska. Same thing with Charlotte. It's crazy to think how they get to China. Actually, you don't just go around the globe. You actually go
over the North Pole.
Yep, right over the North Pole,
yeah.
guys. The Earth is round, so it makes sense to think about it. Yep.
Yeah. Well, speaking of the NBA, let's get off the boat. I don't know, man. Like I said, I thought. Remember the last pod 2 weeks ago? I sort of walked myself into Lakers Sixers NBA Finals, and there was a chance that shit was going to happen. I was already counting my chickens because I was like, we'll cut that. We don't say anything I said before or after. We're just going to make me sound like a genius. And the Sixers just coughed it up, dude. They're done. Boston looks strong. Heat just insane. Dude, Jimmy Butler is, he's got to be like America's basketball player right now. Everybody's rooting for Jimmy. On the west side of things, that was one thing I'm obviously like trying to figure out. When the games are coming, I can't watch them. Can't watch Kuminga play the last 3 minutes of each game. I could go off on that. Can't believe they didn't play him. He's going to demand a trade. I'm telling you that right now. And anyway, Lakers. So now I'm all on. I'm on LeBron train, dude. I want LeBron to get his 5th. They got a tough task, dude. Denver. Jokic is like, otherworldly. I don't understand how more people aren't talking about just how absurd it is what this guy's doing every single night in the playoffs. This is like the last time I remember seeing stats like this was Shaq and Kobe. And like Shaq in the finals, like 3 or 4, a couple games doing what he's doing every single night. So just crazy to see what's going on. It's going to be that series is going to be great.
It is interesting to me because I feel like this is, of all the MVP years, this might be Jokic's best year.
Yeah.
And he didn't get the MVP.
Wild.
And I'm not saying that Embiid didn't deserve the MVP. All I'm saying is I felt like more people bought into the fact that he hasn't won an MVP and voted for him instead of people got bored with the vote. This is the most deserving MVP year that Jokic has had. And the big knock on Jokic is he hasn't won in the playoffs. Well, now he's winning, and you guys take the MVP away from him. I just feel like having that number 1 seed is a huge deal, especially out in the West, which is a big deal. And I think Denver's going to take it. I really do. And I know a lot of people are against me, but I'm going to predict I just don't see AD being sustainable. This is going to be crazy. But how many times this guy can get injured? I don't know, man. I just think that the role players for Denver have just been incredible. Aaron Gordon, even Jeff Green coming off the bench.
Michael Porter.
Michael Porter. Murray is just playing lights out.
Yeah.
They just have a really good roster. And also I think they're very well coached.
Yeah.
And they've had a lot of failures that have driven them. And I think they're kind of on a mission. So it's going to be interesting. And I do think Boston is just going to steamroll the Miami Heat. I think there's too much power there. Even though I do like the Heat, I think they're a little bit banged up. They don't have Hero. And I know Kyle Lowry, I played with him. He's He is a competitor. He has stepped it up in the playoffs. I know the Heat were a little disappointed with him in the regular season, but listen, he has made up for it in the playoffs and has been playing great basketball, very smart. That's going to be a great series. I do think the Heat are well coached. I think Spoelstra does a great job, has his team prepared. I think Jimmy Butler is a star, but I don't think they have the surrounding cast to really get them past the Celtics. I think Tatum, Brown, I just think they're going to be too much. And if I'm going to predict, it's going to be crazy. I think Denver might win it. And that sounds crazy. But that would be my prediction. But also, I want to talk about the Suns before we get on to, I know you want to talk about Kuminga. What do you think about the Suns? Because the knock has been CP. If he was healthy, you could put that statement in for about every year he's been in the playoffs. It just seems like his durability has been an issue in the playoffs. And where do you think the Suns go from here? Because obviously Devin Booker, KD, it looks like there's some. I just think that DeAndre Ayton, I don't think he's. I think his perception in Phoenix isn't the best, and I think he's a very talented player. And sometimes you just need a fresh restart. Yep. I think he's taken a lot of criticism. I would like to see him be receptive to a very good coach that's going to push him, and I would like to see how he handles that, because I think he could be a hell of a player. But I think right now, Phoenix, to me, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, you got to make that work. And I'm just curious. They just fired their coach. Who's gonna coach them? And do they bring CP back? And what other pieces do they need to get past that hump and get into the finals? Do you think?
If I had been Phoenix, I don't know if this is even feasible, if it's realistic, what it was. Kevin Durant is an all-time great player. He might be an all-time top 10. Maybe that's a little bit of a reach, but if it is, it's arguable and it's not much of a reach. His availability sometimes is a concern. But if I'm Phoenix, instead of trading away what they traded, I'd trade Booker. Now, they've seemed to coexist very well, okay? And Booker can score with best players in the league. I'm not super, in tune on how well he can defend. He's obviously fearless. He's a bit of a volume shooter. I think he shoots relatively high percentages, not anywhere on par with Durant. But where Phoenix struggled is they needed Mikal Bridges. They needed Cam Johnson. They needed those guys that they dumped, right? They didn't have any depth. And, Denver, you look up and down Denver's roster. I mean, Denver traded away Bones Highland, which was he's probably one of the better 6 men in the league as a sophomore. My thing for them is just the depth issue. Is they got those guys. I mean, you got Durant and Booker going out and scoring 70 a night between the two of them, and they're losing games because you can't outscore a good team with two players. And then of course, my other thing with Denver is and kind of going forward and where you see them going is the altitude is an advantage, I think, for most teams. Against most teams, I should say. And then their crowd, these sort of small mid-market, Denver's got a very passionate fan base. So what you're saying, going against LA, that'll be an interesting series. And then of course, if they move on, they had the best record in the NBA, right? So even if it was Boston, they'd have home court advantage. But with Phoenix, I think that's right. But with Phoenix, man, KD is so good. Booker is great. But he just doesn't strike me as a guy that's going to win a championship without, kind of taking a back seat. He's the Jaylen Brown in this equation, right? Even though he'll outscore Durant most nights. But, he's going to outscore Durant a lot of nights because Durant's going to draw double teams, right? And they got to pick somebody to double, and they ain't going to leave, Kevin Durant one-on-one. So I don't know, man. I don't see. I never thought, honestly, in hindsight's 2020, it's easy for me to say this now. I never really thought that adding Durant to that team made them the favorite.
So I'm going to give you my thoughts. And first of all, I think Phoenix has a championship team right now. Okay. I stay with DeAndre Ayton. Okay. And I know I just said what I said, but I think he's an up and coming star.
I love Ayton. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think KD, I think he's got about 2 to 3 more years where you could say, hey, this guy is going to be somebody you can rely on getting the team to the championship. I think Devin Booker is an up and coming star. I think he's going to be a star for 10 more years. Okay. Here's what I do. Here's a couple moves I try to make. First of all, I look into Lillard. I see, is Lillard wanting to leave Portland? Can I make this happen? Contract wise, salary wise, can I make this happen? Okay. That's first. Second, I look at what's going on in Golden State. Is Draymond, is he going to stay? He's somebody I would poke around and see what's going to happen with him. Okay. And then you have, I think, Klay Thompson on expiring, whatever. I see what's happening there. I just eyeball that situation because I don't think they're going to be able to bring him back, those 2 players back with the salaries that they have right now. Okay. And there's another player, PJ Tucker, who's local from Raleigh, played at Texas. He's bounced around the league a little bit, but he's a bulldog, and he is somebody who can lock down, defend. And he is he makes winning plays, but he doesn't fill up the stat sheet. He's another guy that I look at in the offseason because if I think you can get PJ Tucker, a guy like Draymond, and add them to Phoenix, I think they're a championship team.
All great points. I've read where the Warriors are all in on trying to keep that core together. Klay, Steph, Draymond. And they think Bob Myers is the guy that's most likely to leave, general manager. So who does that leave? It leaves Jordan Poole, it leaves Andrew Wiggins, and realistically leaves Jonathan Kuminga as potential moves. Wiggins, in my opinion, is the biggest chip they have. I think Poole is going to draw a lot of interest. You got Zach LaVine in Chicago. That's going to be a free agent coming up, I think, after next year. Klay is got 1 more year on his contract, and then they're going to owe him a boatload of money. So as much as they love him, you're going to have to pay him. You mentioned Lillard. Bradley Beal is another guy that I think would be interesting in that. But you're also looking at like, all right, well, but Beal, the thing that's so interesting about Beal is he's demonstrated that he can share the load with Westbrook and with Wall. He was a very productive player.
Yeah.
You got, James Harden.
I don't like that piece.
I don't either. I'm just saying.
Ball dominant. I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't either. I saw this video on Instagram today about it was like highlights from James Harden in his prime. And it was just him shooting free throws. It was great in the game. You mentioned Tucker. Jaylen Brown's another name that's been made. It'll be really interesting to me to see what happens if Boston doesn't win, particularly if they lose in a conference final somehow. There's something going on with the Jaylen Brown. I think Jaylen Brown wants more respect than he gets. I get why Tatum's the guy, but Brown's a close second. And I think, personally, I'd rather have Brown than Booker. Right, they're not getting rid of Booker. That's not going to happen. So I'm not saying that's feasible. But like, I think Brown is a harder nosed player. He's a better defender, right? Like, he's kind of in search of some place where he's, I think, the alpha dog. But I don't know, man. Phoenix they just fired Monty Williams though, right?
Yep.
Yeah. So they got, that's the crazy thing too.
There's some good coaches on the market. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see what Philly does with Doc Rivers because I don't think that they're going to bring. They
fired him. He's gone.
They've already fired Doc.
They fired him today. Yeah.
Wow. Yeah. So Doc is out.
Budenholzer or whatever at Milwaukee's gone. So those are the 3 top dogs that.
Nick Nurse from the Raptors. He's a
Nick Nurse is out, yeah, and
Nick Nurse is out.
You're going to see some shuffling. I saw Frank Vogel's name mentioned. I've seen Mark Jackson's name mentioned. I've seen, the usual suspects. It's interesting. I meant to jot this down and ask you about it. How coaches is just sort of a revolving door. Like
it really is. And
why does a coach get fired in one place and then get hired at the next place?
Because it's the easiest move. If you look at the contract wise, the coaches don't make. They're not making Devin Booker or Kevin Durant money. And so if you need to look at a team and you need to make a change and you need to rejuvenate it, an easy out is to fire the coach. And
Here's a question. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. No. Go ahead.
Here's a question I got for you. So, in light of all that, my boy JK, all right, to me, it's inconceivable. The matchups in that series, something deeper is at play here. Why he didn't play. And what I can't understand. So, I think what's going on is that there is some dissension in the ranks between Bob Myers and Steve Kerr. Now, I don't know if it's those two guys, but there's like a competing interest thing going on here. And I was thinking through this, and this is totally a hypothesis because I don't obviously know jack shit about what's really going on. But if I'm Steve Kerr and I got Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, I've won championships, I've won championships as a player, I've won them as a coach, and I got these guys, and I know that like I'm held accountable to win championships. And I got the pieces to win now. I don't want to develop Jonathan Kuminga. I don't want to develop Moses Moody. I want to trade those guys for OG Anunoby or somebody at the trade deadline and just guarantee another ring. But if I'm Bob Meyer, right, like I'm holding you accountable, Steve Kerr, or whomever within the organization. Again, I don't know the personalities, dynamics, or they might be best of friends. But I can see where the organization would be holding them accountable to win now and set the team up for the future. And I can see the conflict there. And I think what was going on is that, you know, when it came down to the playoffs, he just was trying to use, you know, it's still to me, I think Kuminga's a better player. I think he's better than Gary Payton. I think he's better than Jordan Poole in a lot of ways. I think he'd be more productive. You don't need what Jordan Poole gives you, which is offense. You need what he doesn't give you, and Kuminga does, which is a rim threat and a defender, right? It's just inconceivable. You know, he's better than DiVincenzo is, I'd say, is a better tool today. You know, Kuminga's potential is exorbitantly higher.
They're not the same players,
right?
In my opinion. And the thing that you said is, to me, is when I look at Golden State, the chemistry. Does Jordan Poole fit that chemistry? And that's my question, is because you saw him take the shot. The team came out and they said the politically correct thing to say, yeah, I want him to shoot that shot. Hell, he is 4 feet behind the 3-point line. And you want him to shoot that in the last? You
got the greatest shooter of all time on your team.
Good night. And yeah, you can say that. Okay, but if you were to take a poll of everybody on the team, you know, and you know, keep everything hush hush, I guarantee they want Steph or Klay taking that shot. And also, they don't want him 4 feet behind the 3-point line. That's awful. And the thing, he didn't even really. It looked like he just kind of slingshotted that thing.
That's what he does.
It was just like, I'm like, man.
When he gets hot, dude, he's unstoppable because he can shoot from anywhere. But he's so mercurial from. I mean, he's only like a 44% shooter or something like that.
To me, he's just like a. I'm not sure, like maybe Nick Young, and that's Swaggy Pete. I mean, he's just like a, to me,
$130 million Nick Young.
Yeah, and so here's my thing: is you could have used Kuminga. I mean, especially get the Lakers. I mean, his size, athleticism, his ability to guard multiple positions, and I am wondering what is going on. Why are they not like? It's not even like he was an option. And to me, Sleep, just being on the outside and watching these games, I want to know, like, I would like to. So if I'm the GM, first of all, I'm talking to Kerr. Okay, what's going on with Kuminga? Okay, he's a top pick. Obviously, we've prioritized him. Why is he not developing what's going on? And I would try to figure that out. But sometimes, you know, you can be overwhelmed as a young player with the amount of sets and learning how to scout teams. That's all new. Okay. Yeah. But also, the best way to do that is to get experience. And the only time you can do that is get into the fucking game.
Yeah.
And sorry, Mom.
And, look, I get it's the playoffs, and it's not the time to like necessarily develop a player, right? But the thing that really pisses me off about the sentiment, for anybody that doesn't know who Jonathan Kuminga is, I feel like I need to repeat this on a regular basis when I get going on this. He's my guy. Like I got my chips on this kid. I think he's going to be a great player. I get that the playoffs aren't the time to develop him, but he's one of the reasons you are in the playoffs to begin with. A, B, they could have had Anunoby. Like the reports were that the Raptors, the trade was done. They just wanted Kuminga in it, and they said no. So the organization was that in on him. Like, why do you go away from him? And the one other piece I want to add is the thing that pisses me off about the sentiment is everybody's like, well, in the minutes he did get, he was awful. Bro, he's in the game 3 minutes. And yeah, if you want to look at what he did in the 3 minutes, like, yeah, he made some dumbass plays and mental lapses. And there was one play early in the Sacramento series where he's on the weak side and like there's just no excuse. He's just la la land. The ball comes his way. He doesn't rebound it. They yank him. I get that. But I can give you 1,000 examples of everybody from Steph Curry on down making boneheaded plays at some point in the game. You can't just like say, okay, you're out there 2 minutes. You made a mistake. You're done for the rest of the playoffs. Like, it's ridiculous. So something is going on under the hood there. And yeah, I think it'll be really interesting to see who goes. And my whole point in bringing all this up wasn't even Kuminga. Is Kerr untouchable there?
Yes.
That's what I think too.
I do. And the reason I say that is because his perception in the Bay Area, I mean, he is. I mean, he's done too much accomplished. To me, I hate to say this, but it is a very bad look for a young player to demand a trade, especially somebody who,
yep, I agree.
You know, hasn't seen the minutes or hasn't really, in a way, proven themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But if I'm you, I would have to look around. But you know, you got to think maybe the Lakers. I think he would be a good addition to the Lakers. Athletic, could definitely, you know, give LeBron a little rest and not having LeBron do so much on both ends. Because to me, Kuminga, he has the ability to rebound. He has the ability to defend tough players. And they, you know, if you look at the Lakers, they brought in the little annoying guard. What's his name?
Lonnie Walker?
Played with the Clippers.
Austin Reeves.
No.
Oh, shit.
They brought him
Vanderbilt.
in way early. He played for Minnesota last year. The guy that's always in the middle of controversy. But they brought him in, I think, beginning of this year, last year. Remember him and the Westbrook had all that beef.
Hell, I can't remember.
They were looking for a defender.
Got Greg calling me.
he called me too. I texted him. I said, we're podding.
He called me. Oh, that's great.
Hey, my brother will just randomly go through he'll just call people and you'd be like, hey, what's up? But I think he'd be a good addition for the Lakers, just looking at him, because I eventually don't think LeBron has that many years left. Yeah. And I think that would give him a chance to not have so much pressure to do so much early on, and he can develop a little bit. They have a very good coach. Yep. LeBron would be also a great person to be around. I've heard his work ethic and the way he carries himself is very, you know, something that you want on your team. So to me, I think the Lakers would be a good move. The only thing is, what could you get for him? And would Golden State be willing to part ways with him? Because sometimes in professional sports, you see this often. You have a GM that loves a player. You have a coach that does not like that player. And it is just a constant battle, and it is not a good position to be in.
Yeah, as the player. And I think at the surface level, you're right. A 20-year-old kid demanding a trade, wrong pipe, is ridiculous. But truthfully, most 20-year-old kids don't demand trades because they get time, because they get drafted by shitty teams. So if you're good, you're playing. Every other kid in his class is playing all the minutes they can handle. So I read all about potential places. And the thing I think about Kerr is what's interesting to me is you're seeing these heads roll at these other places where these coaches, I mean, dude, 2 years ago, the Milwaukee Bucks win a championship, and now the coach is gone, right? So, you know, anyway, there's a lot of good coaches out there. I think I agree with everything. I think he could be on the move. Man, I've heard everywhere from Charlotte to Chicago to, you know, the Spurs. That would be awful. But anyway, there's a lot of be awful except for getting a play under Pop. So, you know, I mean, a lot of interesting things going on out there. Last thing we'll get out of here on is got to talk about. I mean, look, Demarco Dunn's leaving. Like, who cares anymore, right? Like, I don't know. I mean, we could talk about that if you want to. I mean, guys are gone.
He hit the portal. Yeah. I was surprised.
UNC might leave the ACC. Okay, whatever. I mean,
The Big
Talk to me
Ten,
when it actually
that would be
happens.
brutal.
All right? Yeah. Oh God. Then we'll start playing like the zone or something. John Morant. Got to get out here on this. Like, it's been. Here's the only thing. I mean, look, there's just no explaining it. We could talk about it for a half an hour, and come no closer to understanding what the hell is going through that dude's mind. Here's my question for you: what happens to him here? Because I have my thought.
What law did he break?
He didn't.
Okay. What rules did he break?
Probably some sort of NBA behavior guideline.
Probably you could fall it under ethics. Okay. There's been many players that have taken pictures with guns, either hunting or whatever. I can make an argument he doesn't face a suspension. I could formulate an argument to say he shouldn't be suspended.
I can agree with that argument.
And
here's what's going to happen.
But
go ahead.
I'm not going to do that because I really don't like that stance. And the reason I don't like that stance is because he's been in the middle of some type of controversy and bad decisions for the past year and a half. And he's been around, he's been in places that you shouldn't be in. Okay. Nothing good happens. When you drop 50K in a strip club, that's not somebody you want representing your community, your team. That's not a leader. Okay. Mm-hmm. Okay. That's one. Also, Memphis, they haven't had the best public perception lately. And I know it's one thing to win, but it's also another thing to win with class and handle yourself the right way. If I'm the NBA, and listen, I came to the Pacers after they had the brawl, and also they had numerous shootings. And I know what that type of stuff can do to a franchise. It can wipe your fan base out. And that rebuilding that process is a long time. Believe me, I was part of it. I suspend them for a year.
That's exactly what I think is happening.
I set a tone. Okay, listen. Hey, we're going to set a tone. This is unacceptable. And the reason I say that is because he is a young and upcoming star. And also he's somebody who is a role model, mm-hmm. and he will be in the NBA for a long time. But there's no excuse for doing it. It's almost like he's making fun of or not taking anything seriously.
Exactly.
There's been zero accountability on Ja's part from the beginning of this whole thing. And there's also nothing wrong if you did have a drug problem coming out and saying, mm-hmm. hey, listen, I'm going to take control of this. Denying it is the worst if he does have a drug. I'm not saying he does, mm-hmm. but there has been zero accountability that I have seen, Sleep. And that's my stance.
That's it, man. And I agree completely. And so here's the thing. There was even a question immediately, like, could they cut him? And you'd be like, man, they wouldn't want to, but could they? But if they were going to do that, that would have happened already. They would have just severed ties. I think where Memphis doesn't suspend him because Memphis has a business interest. They don't suspend him for a year, but the NBA should do that. Or I shouldn't say they should do that. I think they will do that is what I mean. I have no idea what it, because I'm with you, right? Like, ain't nobody said you got to be a good guy, right? But there's kind of that responsibility, man. Like, society's different. Like, there's a lot of people that say he didn't break any laws and all that, and they're all right. They're exactly right. Do whatever the hell he wants. He didn't shoot anybody. Like, doesn't matter. It's his gun, not his gun. I don't really care. I really don't, because it doesn't impact my life. But the truth is that there's that expectation, man. Like, society is just different. People demand more now out of celebrities than they ever have. So, I mean, it just is what it is, dude. It's the trade, right? You got all this in the palm of your hand, and to the point you made, like, we both have conversations. Like, I think Ja Morant's a very overrated player. He's very exciting to watch. He can be really, really good. The scary part is, like, if he committed, like, I mean, dude, he could be AI, you know? I mean, he could be really, really good. And I think, I mean, I don't know what he's doing when nobody's watching. I'm sure he's working hard, but there's that extra piece that just doesn't seem to be there. And that commitment might not be not working. It might be the way you behave, you know, and the way that other people around you perceive you, the situation you put the organization, the team, the league, the fans in, right? And, you know, the thing about it is this kid could get suspended for a year, and he's 24 years old or something like that. He's not even 24. So he comes back and he's still, like, you know, he hadn't even missed anything. So, you know, I don't know, man. He's like the villain to me. He's the guy I like to root against. For the record, when I was young, that was Kobe, right? I never disrespected Kobe. He was just the guy that I wanted LeBron to be. So, you know, he's the guy that who's better respect him. But like until he starts respecting, you know, sort of the game and the fans and everybody around it, you know, I ain't got time for it. So interesting situation. Not sure.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Not sure where they go, but I'm with you on that suspension. But anyway, guys, I feel like my mouth is dry from trying to pack all that in over the last hour, longer than usual.
Yo.
You got anything else, Big Hog?
Stay safe.
Stay safe.